Can you hop in there for me and just dive into how important it is for an entrepreneur to be very clear as to what it is their business is about, how long they want to be in business, and if they should have a plan?
First of all, how long you want to be in business, I think that's going to drive itself. So when deciding that up front, I'm going to be in business for 10 years, you're assuming a whole lot. You're assuming a whole lot. Let's rewind to your why, because your why is based in the purpose of your service.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Entrepreneurial Truth. On today's podcast, we have Dr. Diane Dye with us, and she's going to start out by telling us about her business and who she serves. Dr. Diane, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just a pleasure to be on Entrepreneurial Truth. So my name is Dr. Diane Dye. I am the strategist that founders, CEOs, and executives turn to when they want to change something about their organizations, but they don't know how. And I'm an experimentation strategist. So I help understand what that experiment needs to be and structures it in a way that doesn't create change fatigue or what I call change chaos in an organization.
Oh, love that. I love that. And how long have you been in this industry?
Oh boy, it's been a long and winding path, as it is for all the entrepreneurs I'm sure that are listening. It's never a straight line, but I have over 30 years of experience. And in terms of the winding path that led me here, People Risk Consulting and its current iteration has been around for, this is year 10, celebrating our 10th anniversary.
Awesome. And can you just dive a little deeper and let our audience know what led you to this specific career path?
I love this story because it is really the depiction of what I teach. And that's that sometimes when the path doesn't go as planned, it reveals the path that needed to happen. So I was actually in an equity position at a software company, and this was almost 10 years ago. And I was laid off 4 months into my master's program. And I had just gotten accepted to the University of Southern California, my absolute dream school. And I was blessed that University of Southern California has this culture of curating a cohort, a family, someone you can turn to when things are upside down, you feel like a turtle on your back. So of course, I went directly to my professor and I said, "What do I do?" And she said, "Ask your classmates. You've got a variety of experience in the room. Ask your classmates what you should do." And I really respected that because my classmates came from all different walks of business. I had some who were entrepreneurs. I had some that were dyed in the wool corporate, lots of different mindsets. But what we all had in common is that we were thinkers. And we knew that asking questions was the key to unlocking the future. So they really asked me just one question. And they said, "What do you want?" And I thought about it. And then I felt about it. And I said earlier, I have 30 years of experience. I started working kind of along the side, like many entrepreneurs do, in 2009. And 2009, of course, we all know was the recession. It was figure it out moment then. So I thought to myself and I said, I really want my management consulting firm. That's what I really want. That's what my heart wants. And they said, "Well, you have student loans. Student loans are for food, they are for shelter, and they are for your education. Why don't you start your management consulting firm?" And I didn't think of it that way. But the very next day, I marched myself down to the Secretary of State's office in Carson City, Nevada, and I opened my management consulting firm. And it was actually through that master's program that I was told to quit. Unemployment told me, you're going to have to quit USC if you want to accept unemployment. So I was at this crossroads. I'm like, what do I do? And it was through the program that the world was telling me no to, was telling me to quit, that I found internal communication and change management and organizational
Wow.
change and leadership. And I fell so deeply in love with that as a discipline. And my first clients actually in my management consulting firm are actually still my clients today, because I'm not your typical management consultant who's in, out, project done, let's go. I form these relationships with my clients, and this lasting relationship really acted as the catalyst for, sometimes a company has something going on, just like I did when I, I had this come
Mhm.
out of left field, where things just come out of left field and change has to occur, but you just don't
Mhm.
know how. And thankfully, I had the cohort. And thankfully, I had this class that sparked this love, this interest in organizational change, leadership, internal communication. And that's what was
Mhm.
my master's in communication management. But it cultivated this first client, this first long-term longevity kind of client that led me into my doctorate. And my doctorate is a doctorate of education in organizational change and leadership. And I went straight back to the University of Southern California because I knew I was going to be held, I was going to be supported. And,
Mhm.
and I was in that. And that brought me to today. But it wouldn't be without the challenges, the problems, the failures, the heartbreak, the any of that,
Mhm.
that I would have found creating my critical opportunity.
Right.
And so much so that my master's thesis was critical opportunity method, which I developed to help extract opportunity from challenge situations.
Mhm.
That was born. And my dissertation was born about really understanding what it meant to create the safety that was needed to spark disclosure, because if you don't know it's a problem, guess what, you
Mhm.
you don't have that data, you don't know it existed. So
Mhm.
it really ended up being the most beautiful journey that I didn't know I needed.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that you jumped into that, because a lot of business owners don't even know, or even prior to even becoming entrepreneurs, you don't understand that it often takes failure for you to have the best breakthrough in a business, right? To even find out if you're passionate about it, if you don't experience some kind of challenge,
Yeah, oh,
some kind of
absolutely.
friction. Yeah.
Absolutely. And sometimes, like, you're going to reach this crossroads in your business. And you're like, do I just close it?
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I knew that my business was forever when I actually went on a date one time. I went on this amazing date. He actually took me to Disney World. But he was one of those dyed in the wool, tech resume, major companies, high up there kind of guy, right? And I was at this point, which all entrepreneurs, that we call it the entrepreneurial roller coaster. You know, you're riding high, or you're in the depths, or you're turning upside down. You're doing one of the things. Well, I was upside down in the depths, okay, at that point. Bless him, he footed the entire bill for Disney World, which was amazing. I loved it. It was a dream of mine fulfilled. But also the entire time, he's like, don't you understand? You just got your doctorate. You have a story to tell. You
Mhm.
have this story that's going to be really attractive to employers right now. You need to strike while the iron's hot, because once you get your doctorate, there's a decreasing return there, and he's just painted this ugly picture. And then I got so angry. And
Wow.
and I wasn't angry like at him for his opinions or anything like that. I was angry because there was a fire in my belly.
Mhm.
And I said, "This is me.
Mhm. Yep.
This is me. This is me. I am a dyed-in-the-wool entrepreneur. This is my business, and this is why it's gonna work, and this is my product, and this is the change I'm gonna create in the world." And over that trip, over that 3-day trip, I sold myself on
Mhm.
People Risk Consultant. I
Mhm.
sold myself on the
Mhm.
deep emotional why. Simon Sinek always says, start with why. I sold myself on that why so that
Mhm.
when the roller coaster went up and I'm flying high, and then, oh no, the economy, oh no. I had this source and certainty within me because of that to
Mhm.
go, all right, I know I'm in this for the long haul.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
know that this is my legacy.
Mhm.
And it's not just, and especially for what I do, it's not just my legacy on the line.
Mhm.
It's the legacy of founders and CEOs and executives who are part of a family who started that business in the first place. And
Right.
there are so many of those that
Mhm.
are first generation, second generation, third generation business owners, entrepreneurs at various revenue stages. And there's a lot of weight on that,
Mhm.
especially as you get down in the ages. And eventually sometimes you get to the point where you're like, okay, I don't want to continue this, but
Right.
you don't want to kill the legacy.
Right.
So how do I do succession planning on this? And there's so many questions, but you're not going to be in the right space
Mhm.
answer those questions.
If you're not clear.
Um, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
unless you have that core in place, your attitude around when failure happens, and it
Mhm.
does,
Mhm.
is totally reliant on the mask that you choose to wear or to take off.
Wow. Wow. Can you hop in there for me and just dive into how important it is for an entrepreneur to be very clear as to what it is their a business is about, be how long they want to be in business and if they should have a plan.
First of all, how long you want to be in business,
Mhm.
I think that's going to drive itself.
Mhm.
So when deciding that up front, I'm going to be in business for 10 years, you're
Right.
assuming a whole lot. You're
Mhm.
assuming a whole lot. Let's rewind to your why, because your why is based in the purpose of your service. When you start your business to serve yourself, to make money, yes, we all want to make money, but when you start it in service of ego, in service of this is what mommy and daddy did, so I have to do it too, in service of something that isn't in service to someone else, you're going to have a hard time finding and speaking to your audience. And I had
Mhm.
to learn this the hard way because this was me. This was me. This was the third generation entrepreneur. My grandfather was a real estate broker. My dad had a paving company before he built the motel that I grew up in. A few of my siblings split off and started their own businesses as well. So there was a lot of generational pressure on me at first to not everybody went that path. My brother is a top salesperson in pharmaceuticals. So not everyone went that route, but I still felt that heaviness behind that why. So number one, I think things kind of just had to get bad enough to
Mhm.
where I was like, dang, nothing's sticking right now. I am serving my heart out to a wall. And that
Wow.
wall was actually me, because I had to let go of the fact that I was serving my legacy, and I had to point it at theirs. And when I honed in and I said, you know what? And this didn't happen too long ago. There's multiple iterations of me having my Disney World moment of
Mhm.
I have to prove to myself that I want to do this thing. But it actually happened right at the turn of the year of the fire horse, where I thought, if I'm going to move forward, I got to get in my heart about this.
Mhm.
And I did some serious work to align and find my purpose. And what I really align with is those companies that are, yes, entrepreneurs, of course, but they're the founders, they're the CEOs, they're the side executives as well, but they're all part of an organization that has a family heartbeat.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that family heartbeat beats way differently than your Procter and Gamble's,
Mhm. Mhm.
because Procter and Gamble did start as a family heartbeat, but then conglomerate, diversification,
Mhm.
all of that changes a company to the point where it bridges over
Right.
that
Right.
family dynamic. But that family dynamic adds something. And I surveyed all my past clients, because I've been in this particular iteration, I've been in business for 10 years, all the way back to my first strike at the iron in 2009. It's a lot of years. And I looked across the landscape, and the one thing I saw common across that landscape, and I encourage your listeners to do the same: look at who you've served. Look at who you've served and you've enjoyed it.
Mm.
You've
Well,
leaned in.
yeah.
You've leaned in because
Mhm.
you were so invested in them.
Mhm. Mhm.
And what I saw was family legacy. I saw family legacy that was ready for its next level.
Mhm.
I saw a
Mhm.
family legacy beginning. I started paying attention to when I went live on TikTok and who was coming toward me. And it was the kids that wanted to start their own businesses, and they were
Mhm.
super curious and starting their own
Wow.
little legacies. But they were part of somebody who did own there. And I'm
Mhm.
like, that was me. That's
Mhm.
cool. I recognize myself in this. I recognize my pattern. So the first step in identifying who you want to serve is to let go of who you think you're supposed to.
Oh. Oh, wait, 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 wait. I love it. Love it. I love it. Okay. Let go. Let go of who you think you're supposed to. Ah, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes, you have to. That's part of the mess. That's part of the weight. That is part of the weight that is holding you back from focusing, because you think that there's a right way to do this.
Mhm.
And the only wrong way to do this is not to follow your heart, is to follow all the supposed tos. I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to be corporate. I'm supposed to, because I've been in tech for so long, I'm supposed to be serving tech. I'm supposed to monitor your chatter. And when you hear yourself say, I'm supposed to, put a big red stop sign and pause and go, I believe I am supposed to serve this person, but my heart says blank needs my help. And
Oh,
there is going to be a word that's going to drop in there, and don't question it.
wow.
Do not question that word, because that silent voice there, when you're not up here, but you're down
Mhm.
here, that is your pathway to your
Mhm.
highest and best service to the world. When those words they just drop at. So my purpose is to be a light so that others can move forward and to
Mhm.
refine that further.
Mhm.
I am a light for founders, for CEOs, and for those executives who are stuck or they don't know how to change.
Mhm.
So within that family context, which is so dynamic, there's so many people risks in that that goes so much deeper than compliance
Mhm.
because you have heart and you have personality and you have purpose and you have legacy and you have all of that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
how you approach that is so important. And that's how I
Mhm.
find mine. And listeners, listen to where yours is.
Right. 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 Okay. Wow. All right. So the first one, they're going to just listen to themselves, to their heart, to
Mhm,
figure out who it is they need to be serving. And
mhm,
then once they hear that, then what is the next step?
mhm. If you can't get into your heart, move. And what I mean by move is start taking action that you find that's enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
have some fun, go for a walk, jump up and down. You don't even have to do any significant movement where you're like going for a measured walk or you're going to work out or you're doing something. Even if you just move side to side and close your eyes, your movement will take you from here up to here because you have to be in your body to do that. But that's how you're going to get your answer is that. And then let's consider that your domino. Now, what is a domino? A domino for me in my construction of brave business is really that thing that you have an inkling to take action toward. And
Mm-hmm.
you want to explore the environment around that domino. And you want to look at what's already out there.
Mm-hmm.
You want to look at what's not out there. You
Mm-hmm.
want to and then you move once you understand that environment, then you can move to validating it by having some real conversations with those people.
Mm-hmm.
I've been having real conversations with those people since 2009, and one of them saved my life.
Wow.
One of them, the publisher of a magazine that I was freelancing for, and his wife saved my life. And they got me out of my head and into a place where I could see that my environment was not a safe one for me.
Wow.
And when I and became the topic of my dissertation because that's what safe leaders do.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that pattern, I have to tell you, I felt light. So the person or people or organizations or industries that you are meant to help, to serve, it's going to feel light to you. It's not going to feel heavy. It's not going
Right.
to feel heavy like that's supposed to.
Right.
Supposed to feel so heavy because who told you you're supposed to? Your teacher said you're supposed to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents said you're supposed to clean your room.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's obligation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
who wants to build a business heavy and laden
Mm-hmm.
with obligation?
A-
So,
And and to your point, you're going to also attract the people that you don't want to serve, right?
oh
When you're
boy,
not in alignment. Mm-hmm.
oh boy, do you ever. Oh boy, do you ever. You
Mm-hmm.
begin to attract clients that mirror your abusive father.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You begin to attract. Um, I know a lot of founders that start companies because they're angry about something. And
Wow.
although anger is a great emotion, like one of the software company that had an equity position in for a short period of time, it was actually started because a charger was left in a hotel room and the hotel couldn't get it back to him. And it just made him miffed and pissed and all the things. And his company became and actually is one of the top lost and found softwares in the world now
Wow.
because of that anger. So there is a proper direction to that anger, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's a proper direction. And then there's the direction that has you taking shortcuts and it
Mm-hmm.
has you not having the conversations and has you closed off rather than open. And that is what the V part in the Brave business model that I use for research is that V is for validation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Asking those questions. So when your heart says, okay, this is what I want to take action on, like I'm feeling this action, let's have those conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go on a listening tour with no sales, by the way. This is not a sales funnel strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually down the road, maybe, but what you're really trying to understand is, does this serve? Because you can want to serve someone all you want,
Right. It
but if
doesn't.
they don't
Mm-hmm.
want the help, I don't know if you've ever tried to help someone who doesn't want to be helped. It doesn't turn out pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Mm-hmm.
So that's not the business flow. So then you validate it, and then you take that one domino that I mentioned in the action phase. You
Mm-hmm.
create an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And how does innovation work? Innovation doesn't work by, here's the wheels of the car. Can we go anywhere? No. All right, let's add some axles. Can we go anywhere? Can we go anywhere when there's a frame on the car? How about windshield? That's not how innovation works.
Mm-hmm.
Innovation is, think about childhood. Here's a scooter. Can I go anywhere? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I can go down the block on a scooter. Here's a skateboard. Can I go anywhere? Okay, I can go somewhere on a skateboard, but it's about as far as the scooter. All right. Well, can I ask for a ride? Oh, that gets me where I need to go. But what I really want to do is turn 15 and get my driver's permit. And now
Mm-hmm.
I get to learn how to drive. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to innovate from being a learner of how to drive to having a car. And now
Mm-hmm.
I can get places. That's what innovation looks like. But so often, and this is what creates change fatigue, and this is what creates change chaos, is that change fatigue is when your people in your company are so tired because you just keep changing things and keep changing things, and you're changing software and you're changing this and you're changing that. And people really misapply and misunderstand agile frameworks and scrum meetings and all of this stuff. They misapply that and they start exhausting their organizations. But then beyond that, I have something that I call change chaos. And change chaos is like a pot of boiling spaghetti. And
Wow.
instead of picking up the spaghetti with the spatula and testing it like that to see if it's done, you actually take your hand and you dunk it in the pot of spaghetti and you pull out a wad of spaghetti and you fling it at the wall, burning your hand, ruining your kitchen in the process. And that's what happens when you're changing without experimentation, because what happens is you end up burning yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your reputation.
Mm-hmm.
You end up, you're going to have to pay to redo that kitchen once you get spaghetti sauce all over it because you're going to ruin your paint. So you're going to, money, that's going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to ruin your product because you can't eat that. You can't eat that. So change chaos and you've burned yourself. You're gonna have to go to the hospital. Like it's just bad, right? But it's because, and I've seen this a lot in my founders, there is this belief that we have to have it baked before we put it in the bakery window.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's okay to just tell them to come in and try the batter.
I'm glad that you said that because in a lot of businesses, everyone wants, it's this perfection thing. It has to be a perfect product before it goes out there, before it's shown to the world. And that's not really how it works. I'm really glad you said that.
This is an iPhone. this iPhone started out as a base model version that had all sorts of bugs. And when it went out to the market, the iPhone 1 gives way to the iPhone 2, 3, 4, 5, up and up and up. And I think we're like to 17 or 18 now. I don't know. I've lost track.
Yeah. Not to mention iOS, all the different updates.
All the versions of iOS, right? And that is a really great example of how your operating system for your company must change. Your product will change. You're not gonna go out with the final thing and boom, pay dirt. What you are looking at when you see products in the market is you are comparing your year 1 to somebody else's year 20. And that is a dangerous demotivator because it makes us think as founders, as entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives, that we have to get it right. And we can get it right to a point. And then when you're in business and you're doing it where you're listening to your customer and you're innovating from customer need, now you're going to be able to actually innovate, and you're going to innovate from a place of an installed market base. You know who you serve. You're innovating from that place, but you're listening, and you're listening to your employees, and you're listening to your users, and you're listening to the market in general, because you're not the only kid who's playing in the sandbox, right? But if you just run into the sandbox and say, I've got the game everybody needs to be playing, and the kids look at you like, this game's missing pieces. It's kind of a cool game, but because you add these pieces, if you don't listen to the kids and go put in the pieces to the game, you're out of the game.
Absolutely. And that's like a lot of companies, for example, Blockbuster. So, all these things are happening. You have the monopoly, and then you're not listening to your market. You're not seeing the direction that things are going. And then that's what ends up happening.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the Blockbuster example. I love it because my second job was as a customer service representative for Blockbuster Video. So I wore those khaki pants and that blue shirt. I did that thing. And also I noticed that there was this little thing called Netflix, and I didn't have to go to Blockbuster to get, sometimes I could just get it in the mail. And then Netflix was sharp enough to say, well, down the road, people aren't even going to want to go to their mailbox. They're going to want to just have it. So the first market entry and iteration sort of into that midway space was Redbox. So Redbox said they don't want to go to a store where there's people and they have to check out and whatever. They want to go to a vending machine. But there was a pattern that the market recognized. They don't want to go. They don't want to go. And Netflix took that all the way into becoming one of the top streaming services in the world, where, we have, in basic, Netflix delivers us movies and TV shows. And I remember, and I was part of the DVD industry as well, on the manufacturer side and on the producer side. And I wrote DVD extras, and DVD, it was the big battle. Is it gonna be the red one or the blue one when Blu-ray came out? And that's the big innovation. There's always a big innovation, but you have to be able to follow back to our topic. The market that you are serving is gonna have a voice,
Mhm.
And you better listen to it,
Mhm.
because when you
Mhm.
listen to it, you can find that next stage. And if you were, to use that childhood transportation example for Netflix, we have DVDs in the mail.
Mhm.
And they realized that, with Blockbuster, they didn't open. We had people who did have stores. You remember Suncoast? Suncoast opened stores. So
Mhm.
Suncoast had stores, but Netflix was like, no, let's deliver it to the mailbox. And they noticed when things started to change.
Mhm.
People were starting to go to Redbox and starting to do other things to get their movies. They're like, let's see what this looks like online. And that
Mhm.
changed
The
the
game. Mhm.
world.
Mhm.
Your
Yeah,
ability to innovate can change the world,
you
listeners.
can. Yeah.
But you gotta let go of the fact that you think that you can make it perfect and not
Mhm.
tell anybody about your idea before it hits the market.
Yeah. Yeah. Those days are over. Like
They're over.
literally over. And if you can't learn from seeing what other companies have done and just look on the end result and think that you're going to create this ideal product, this one go around, and you're not going to fail, or it just doesn't happen. It just does not happen. I
No,
love that.
it does not happen.
Oh, if you had to go back in time and you had to give yourself some advice, what advice would it be? And what tool would you give yourself?
My advice to myself would be, think of your business like flying a plane. You have to check in pre flight, and you have to listen to air traffic control. But eventually, you got a taxi and you got to move fast enough to lift those wheels and fly.
Mhm.
And all of these things that I'm saying in this episode today, I'm saying not from an academic space. I'm Dr. Diane Dye, but I'm not a pure academic. I'm an entrepreneur, and I have been stuck on the runway. I've been
Mhm.
stuck on the runway. And you can get stuck on the runway in year 1, year 10, year 20, year 50 of your business. So if I had advice to give myself, to my 2009 self, I would have told myself, you know what? There's a message here. There is something to lean into, and go all in on this iteration of it and let it lead you to the next.
Wow.
When I push that accelerator on that airplane, I get lift. And when I get
Mhm.
lift, I fly. But I have to have the courage, the bravery to bring in that landing gear. So I'm not
Mhm.
always expecting to come down.
Wow. Wow. And what tool would you have given yourself?
Mhm. The tool is exactly that. It's mapping that process. What is my pre flight checklist? Who are the voices I need to hear and I don't need to hear?
Mhm. Mhm.
Do I have the people, the systems, the processes, the policies to get this thing off the ground? And what is my domino? What is my one thing that I can move toward? I can experiment toward to create lift, to create momentum so I can fly.
Mhm. Mhm. And the ability to recognize when you need help with those systems and processes and ask
Absolutely.
for help. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
To ask for help, and to also not get stuck in the learning loop,
Mm.
to take action and trust my training.
Oh, love that. Love that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So many of us, so many entrepreneurs get stuck in the learning or not ready yet phase, or need advice, but then hear the advice, don't take it because you get stuck or paralyzed. So I love that you said that.
Mhm. I've started helping a lot of those individuals, because experimentation strategy isn't just for, when you have an innovation. Sometimes it's to get yourself unstuck. And there
Mhm.
there are a lot of people who make a
Mhm.
lot of money
Mhm.
telling people great things, but there's no back end, like, what do I do? I've been fire hosed. I feel like, I'm a fire and a fireman's tried to put me out. There's so much information. Where do I go next?
Mm-hmm.
So this process, this strategy, this one domino, it works to get your way moving through some of this massive amount of material that you have
Mm-hmm.
consumed. So I really do act as that light to help people move forward in that way as well, because I've been there. I've been in those seats. I've been mentored by some big names in the personal development industry. And if I didn't have that way to get myself to move forward, I too would have been caught in this learning loop that results in no action. So I get it. And yeah, I serve that way now.
Amazing. Amazing. And where can our listeners find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. So look up Dr. Diane Dye on LinkedIn. I accept all requests. That is the front door. The other door is my firm website, which is peopleriskconsulting.com. There we'll have a pop-up, which is generally our big thing right now. It's our Brave Business Mastercast, which is a live mastercast podcast that you can be in the live studio audience of, and you can participate. Just come play with me.
Nice. I love it. Dr. Diane Dye, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for serving our audience. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.